This video will provide you with a fundamental understanding of the operation, maintenance, and handling of the new hydraulic track jack. The jack has been designed to replace the mechanical track jack now in use. This jack has a 10-ton capacity, 9-inch lift, and is a self-contained unit. The track jack is a tool you will use every day for raising, aligning, and gauging track, as well as re-railing maintenance of weigh equipment and positioning switch points and other track materials. Before you use the hydraulic jack or perform any maintenance of weigh operation, be sure you have all the required personal protective equipment. When handling the jack, always use proper lifting techniques and avoid pinch points. As with any device, jacks must be maintained to manufacturer's recommendations, so it's important that you become familiar with the proper operation and maintenance procedures. Prior to use, each jack must first be examined carefully for cracks, damage, wear, or other abnormal conditions. Make sure the base key is in the bottom of the jack. Never use a jack that appears cracked, worn, bent, or otherwise damaged. Remove it from service and have it replaced or repaired. Become familiar with the following hydraulic track jack terminology. Carrying handle, lift cylinder, release screw valve, lever socket, lever bar, reservoir fill plug, oil reservoir, pump piston, jack body, and hand pump. After you have visually inspected the jack, raise it without a load to the top of its stroke to verify that all the mechanisms are free of dirt, stones, or other foreign objects. This will ensure that the jack is primed and the oil level is sufficient for proper operation. The hydraulic cylinder needs no direct lubrication. However, the oil reservoir must be properly filled so that the oil is level with the bottom of the fill hole. A jack low on oil will lift a load, but will not extend fully. As the reservoir runs dry, the lever socket becomes very easy to pump and the jack stops advancing. To add oil, first fully retract the jack and remove the fill plug. Check the condition of the existing oil. If it is contaminated with dirt, it will feel gritty to the touch. If the oil looks milky, it is contaminated with water. If contamination is present, replace the hydraulic oil. Once you are ready to add oil to the jack, fill the reservoir until the oil level is even with the bottom of the fill hole. Then, replace the plug. Next, carefully inspect the jack for leaks. Remember to use proper procedures when disposing of used oil and absorbent materials. Once a year, you will inspect and perform maintenance on the jack. Inspect the jack for leaks by fully extending the jack and building pressure. Pressure is built up enough when the lever socket becomes difficult to pump by hand at full extension. Any leakage of oil could indicate that a seal needs replacement. Once the seal has been replaced, or if there are no leaks, you must check for bearing wear. First, fully extend the jack. Next, secure the jack firmly in a large vise. Lower the jack until approximately 6 inches of the cylinder is exposed. Hold the base and attempt to move the rod from side to side. A jack with good bearings will be tight with very little noticeable side-to-side movement. If rod movement is noticeable, the jack should be disassembled and the upper and lower bearings inspected by a qualified repairman. If the rod is tight, Drain the oil. Make sure that the lever socket is in the down position. Otherwise, old oil will remain in the piston chamber. Inspect the inside of the reservoir for dirt, metal shavings, or water. If you find an accumulation of metal shavings inside the reservoir or in the drained oil, or if the rod has excessive clearance in the body, have a qualified repairman inspect the jack. Once the jack is ready, refill it following the procedures discussed earlier. An alternative method for filling the jack is with the face down. Be sure the jack is fully retracted before you begin filling the reservoir. With the jack in a horizontal position, fill the reservoir. Then lift the jack to its upright position and allow the excess oil to spill out of the fill hole. Next, bleed the air from the jack's hydraulic system. Do this by fully extending and lowering the jack cylinder with the fill plug removed. Then reinstall the plug and wipe the excess oil from the jack. Inspect and lubricate the socket lever and pump piston connecting pins. Before returning the jack to service, fully extend the jack without a load by manually pumping the lever socket. If the oil level is correct, the lever socket will become impossible to pump by hand when the jack reaches full extension. To raise the jack, close the release screw assembly by turning it clockwise until it is hand tight. Make sure the screw is snug but not over-tightened. Over-tightening the release screw can damage the valve seat and reduce jack life. Never use pliers or pipe wrenches to tighten the screw. Manually pump the lever socket until the jack advances to and engages with the load. At this point, the lever socket will become difficult or impossible to pump by hand. Insert the lever bar into the lever socket and continue to pump until you reach the desired amount of lift. Always remove the lever bar when the load has been raised. Before lowering the jack, be certain all personnel are clear. Use the release screw to control lowering speed. Turn it slightly to slowly lower the load. Turn it more to lower the load faster. Never open the screw more than 2 full turns. The jack can also be lowered in small increments by simply reclosing the release screw at any time during the jack's descent. Now, with this option, it is not necessary to shake off the jack. This option is especially helpful when re-railing on-track equipment. The jack is fully functional when used horizontal. However, the cylinder will only extend 6 inches in this position. The lever socket must be in the up position. The oil reservoir is not vented and should not leak regardless of the jack's position. Size up your load and be sure that neither the load nor the distance to be lifted exceeds the jack's capacity. Never use a jack in excess of its rated capacity. After planning your work, ensure that the jack is on a firm foundation and properly aligned with the load. Never align or set the jack by striking the jack housing or parts with a hammer or other heavy object. Doing so could damage the jack and cause serious injury. Securely seat the jack at both the lifting point and the base so that neither the jack nor the load can shift. Never continue a lift if any misalignment begins to occur between the jack and the load. When using the jack, position yourself with your feet spread shoulder width in line with the jack. Keep your back in proper position and always anticipate any sudden movement that may cause injury. Be sure no stones or other obstructions are in the way. Only use the standard 36-inch lever bar to operate the jack. Never use lever bar extenders or cheaters. They may damage the jack. Do not substitute other tools to make the lift. Insert the end of the bar all the way into the lever socket. Grip the bar firmly and use an even downward force throughout the stroke. The bar motion can be stopped at any time during the stroke. Never kick, hit with a hammer, jump on, stand on, or straddle the lever bar, and never force the bar in a rocking motion. Never permit anyone to place any part of his body under the load at any time during a lift, or before the load is blocked or secured. And never leave the load unattended unless it has been blocked or otherwise secured. Immediately remove the bar from the lever socket after the lift is completed. If more than one jack is used, designate one employee to give signals, and make sure all employees have a clear understanding of the work to be performed. All jacks must be properly positioned so that the load will be evenly supported during jacking. Operate the jacks in unison, taking care to make the lift evenly. Do not attempt to force the jack beyond its full extension. Before dropping the load, be sure that all obstructions have been removed and that no foreign material will interfere with the jack mechanism. Turn the release screw counterclockwise to lower the jack. When releasing more than one jack, drop the load simultaneously. If the drain plug is kept closed and tight, the jack requires minimal protection. Wipe it down before storage. Jacks should be fully retracted when stored. As with any job, use care and common sense when working with the hydraulic track jack. Follow all safety rules, special instructions, and standard procedures that apply to the task you are performing. If you're ever in doubt, ask your supervisor. Remember, no job is so important, no service is so urgent that we cannot take the time to perform our work safely. Our continued success depends on you.
Education first, and they help you out, and it's a real friendly environment, and I enjoy working here.
Well, I work at Food Line because it's got really flexible hours. They're always nice about my scheduling.